everyone, good day. I am Minona Guria, and for today, we will be discussing the learner-centered instructional strategies. So what does it mean to use learner-centered instructional strategies? So the student is the focus of this strategy, as the word learner implies. Learners play the role of active participants, bringing their own knowledge, past experiences, education, ideas, thoughts, and even feelings to bear on how they process new information and learn from it. In short, this method promotes student development by incorporating a variety of activities. So let us now look at the various learner-centered instructional strategies. Okay, now let us start on the first learner-centered instructional strategies, which is the inquiry-based. Inquiry learning is an increasing independent endeavor of growth. Students develop skills according each element of the inquiry process over time. One course may introduce some aspects of the inquiry process with a great degree of guidance and facilitation from instructors. So, inquiry-based learning is really a broad concept for me because many people have statements and opinions about it. So, John Dewey stated in inquiry-based learning that that education begins with the learner's curiosity, and inquiry-based learning is a constructivist approach. It begins with exploration and questioning and leads to research into a worthwhile issue, problem, or even subject. It includes asking questions, obtaining and evaluating data, and also coming up with answers. So why do we need to teach inquiry? So self-direction is a critical skill for success in both post-secondary education and the workplace. Inquiry-based approach learning encourages students to build valuable and transferable skills. So for me, we must teach inquiry-based learning approach because when we use it correctly and implemented it rightly, they can help develop higher order thinking skills in the learners, as well as information literacy and critical thinking skills of the students. So they can also learn problem solving skills and skills for lifelong learning.
What is a mental model? Mental models are our values, beliefs, and a series of assumptions about how the world works. Unconsciously, we create a story about other people, institutions, and the world which drives our behavior. While everyone has them, in fact, we need them to make sense of the complex world in which we live. All mental models are flawed to some extent and usually invisible to us. Instructional coaches often work with teachers around their practices in the classroom, their lesson planning, assessment strategies, management approaches, and so on. Mental models' usefulness. Not only do they shape what we think and how we understand, but they shape the connections and opportunities that we see. Mental models are how we simplify complexity, why we consider some things more relevant than others, and how we reason. A mental model is simply a representation of how something works. Model some examples. Mental models help you understand life. For example, supply and demand is a mental model that helps you understand how the economy works. Game theory is a mental model that helps you understand how relationships and trust work. Entropy is a mental model that helps you understand how disorder and decay work. Project method. What is project method? Project method is a teacher-facilitated, collaborative approach in which students acquire and apply knowledge and skills to define and solve realistic problems using a process of extended inquiry. Projects are student-centered, following standards, parameters, and milestones clearly identified by the instructor.
So, good morning everyone. I am Richard L. A. Pakibot, and I am going to report problem-based learning and discovery learning. So, let's start first with problem-based learning. So, problem-based learning, or PB, this is a concrete example of transdisciplinary teaching. It is the learning that results from the process of working toward the understanding of the resolution of a problem. This is also known as project-based learning or a place-based learning. In project-based learning, students tackle a local problem according to Chart 1998. So, planning project-based curriculum involves 3 steps. So, teachers and students select a topic of study based on student interest, curriculum standards, and local resources. Number 2 is the teacher finds out what the students already know and helps them generate questions to explore. The teacher also provides resources for students and opportunities to work in the field. So last one is students share their work with others in culminating activity. Students display the results of their exploration and review and evaluate the project. So, problem-based learning is a student-centered approach in which students learn about a subject by working in groups to solve an open-ended problem. So this problem is what drives the motivation and the learning. So for example, a problem-based learning project could involve students pitching ideas and creating their own business plans to solve a social need. Students could work independently or in a group to conceptualize, design, and launch their innovative product in front of classmates and community leaders. So, next is, in addition, in traditional teaching and employability, in traditional teaching, a lecturer would give students information for the answers. In problem-based learning, you present students with a problem rather than a solution. This allows students to become more active in their learning as they work out which information they need to find out to solve a particular problem. There are many advantages to students in using this approach. It allows them to develop transferable and employability skills that will be useful in the workplace, improve communication and team working, practice research and information processing, and develop debating and analytical skills. So next topic is discovery learning. So discovery learning is a method of inquiry-based instruction. It encourages learners to build on past experiences and knowledge, use their intuition, imagination, and creativity, and search for new information to discover facts, correlations, and new truths. Learning does not equal absorbing what was said or read, but actively seeking for answers and solutions. It enables your students to ask critical questions, conduct their own research, improve their problem-solving skills, and form their own conclusions. So, Discovery learning is an inquiry-based learning method that takes a constructivist approach to education, where students are encouraged to construct their own knowledge through a self-directed learning process. Essentially, it's instructionless. So, for example, having students create simulations of things is another example of discovery learning. Students may have to discover how something works or apply information in order to provide an accurate simulation. So next is what are the 5 principles of learning? So A, problem solving. So problem solving, instructors guide and motivate learners to seek for solutions by combining existing and newly acquired information and simplifying knowledge. So learners take an active and establish broader applications for skills through activities that encourage risk problem solving and probing. So discovery learning takes place in problem solving situations where learners interact with their environment by exploring and manipulating objects, wrestling with questions and controversies, or performing experiments while drawing their own experience and prior knowledge. Next is learner management. So instructors allow participants to work either alone or with others and learn at their own pace. So according to the principles of discovery learning that include learner management, the teacher should allow students to work either alone or with others and learn at their own pace. By the implement this learning model, the students will find their own learning. Integrating and connecting. Instructors teach learners how to combine prior knowledge with new and encourage them to connect to the real world. So instructors should teach learners how to combine prior knowledge with new and encourage them to connect to the real world. Familiar scenarios become the basis of new information, encouraging learners to extend what they know and invent something new. Next is information analysis and interpretation. So discovery learning is process-oriented and not content-oriented, and is based on the assumptions that learning is not a mere set of facts. Learners, in fact, learn to analyze and interpret the acquired information rather than memorize the correct answer. So next is failure and feedback. Learning doesn't only occur when we find the right answers. It also occurs through failure. Discovery learning does not focus on finding the right end results, but the new things we discover in the process, and it's the instructor's responsibility to provide feedback, since without it, learning is incomplete. Commonly used discovery learning methods. So we have 2 commonly used discovery learning methods, which is some discovery learning methods and model based upon discovery learning. So let's first discuss some discovery learning methods. So some discovery learning methods is interviews, encouraging students to talk to people with greater knowledge on a certain topic. Individual research, giving students one topic they need to explore on their own by using technology, books, and other materials that could provide a greater understanding of the given topic. So The discovery learning method is hands-on, focuses on the process, and encourages students to look for solutions. Instead of just teaching students to memorize rules or concepts, this method lets them apply ideas to their lives, creating memorable lessons that will help turn them into lifelong learners. Model based upon discovery learning. So, guided discovery, problem-based learning, simulation-based learning, CJs-based learning, and incidental learning. The discovery learning method is a constructivist theory, meaning it is based on the idea that students construct their own understanding and knowledge of the world through experiencing things and reflecting on those experiences. So that's all for my topic. Thank you.
So the next is the Q&A session. So the interaction between teacher and learners is the most important feature of the classroom. So whether helping learners to acquire basic skills or a better understanding to solve problems. So, or to engage in higher order thinking such as evaluations, questions are crucial. So of course, questions may be asked by students as well as teachers. They are essential tools for both teaching and learning. So, we all know that for teachers, questioning is a key skills that anyone can learn to as well. So, similarly, ways of helping students develop their own ability to raise and formulate questions and can also be learned. So raising questions and knowing the right question to ask is important learning skills that students need to be taught. So if you can learn how to implement question and answer sessions in your classroom, you will test students' comprehension of lessons quickly while maintaining students' focus and attention. So question and answer sessions will let you know where your students are in terms of their understanding of lessons concept. Students can tone out, opt out, or play dumb as a way of getting out of participating. So the purpose of questioning: teachers ask questions for a number of reasons, the most common of which are to interest, engage, and challenge students to check on prior knowledge and understanding. So it is the first to stimulate, to recall, mobilizing existing knowledge and experience in order to create new understanding and meaning. Next is to focus students' thinking on key concepts and issues. So next is to help students to extend their thinking from the concrete and factual to the analytical and evaluative. So next is to lead students through a planned sequence which progressively establishes key understanding. So next is to promote reasoning, problem solving, evaluation, and the formulation of hypotheses. And the last one is to promote students thinking about the way they have learned. Okay, so to summarize it all, Q&A session purpose is relevant. That is because it can help the students to test their comprehension of course material and content, helping the teacher analyze and determine where the students are in terms of their understanding of lesson concept, and also maintaining a well-behaved and focused learning environment, and also actively engaging students in the learning process. Another is stimulating independent and critical thinking skills. And the last one is cultivating an interactive and social class atmosphere. So the kind of questions asked will depend on the reason for asking it. Questions are often referred to as open or closed. So closed questions, which have one clear answer, are useful to check understanding during explanations and in recap sessions. So, if you want to recall, then you are likely to ask a fairly close question. For example, what is the grid reference for Great Malvern? Or what do we call this type of text? So, a close question usually receives a single word or very short factual answer. So, another example is, are you thirsty? The answer is yes or no. Where do you live? The answer is generally the name of your town or your address. So, a close question is simply one that the participant can answer the yes or no. The next is an open questions. So an open questions requires far more detail and invite the person responding to provide information into how they feel, what they think about a subject, or in layman's term, multiple choice. So open question elicit longer answer. They usually begin with what, why, and how. And open questions ask the respondent for his or her knowledge, opinion, or feelings. Tell me and describe can also use in the same ways of an open questions. So there are a lot of different types of open questions. Some are more closed than others. So leading or loaded questions. A leading questions usually subtly points the respondent's answer in a certain direction. So, questioning is sometimes used to bring a student's attention back to the task in hand. And next is the social media. So, social media, as we all know, that it can be an effective tool for teaching and learning in higher education. It can help connect students to information and help them generate a dialogue with their teacher and other students about a course. It can also help students and faculty build professional networks that connects them to communicate beyond. So social media typically used for social interaction and access to news and information and decision making. So it is a valuable communication tool with others locally and worldwide, as well as to share and create and spread information. So the example of social networking site is Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Pinterest, YouTube, and Google+. So what are the benefits of using social media? So we all know that billions of people around the world use social media to share information and make connection on a personal level. Social media allows you to communicate with friends and family, learn new things, develop interests, and can be entertained. On a professional level, you can use social media, build your professional in your industry. So at the company level, social media allow you to have a conversation with your audience, gain customer feedback, and elevate your brand.
Game or gamification. Gamification theory in education is that the learners learn best when they are having fun. Not only this, when they are having fun, they are also learning best. Because in learning, the addictive features of video games that the children and adults gets them hooked. This is not natural that we see similar engagement result when there is game-based elements that are applied in learning materials. So some examples of game elements that can use to encourage and motivate learners includes narrative, immediate feedback, fun, scaffolding, learning that there is a challenge increased, mastery, for example, in a form of level up challenges. So progress indicators, for example, throwing point, badge, and learning boards. So number 7 is social condition, and last is player control. Teachers can implement gamification via the following examples. So first is giving points for meeting academic objectives. It inspires students to see simple set of questions in a whole new light. Second, giving points for meeting procedural and non-academic objectives. Point system can also work well for non-academic system. Third is creating playful barriers. One of the primary goals of gamification is that the use of encouragement mechanics. So fourth, creating competition within the class. Competition in the class, other classes, or event with the teacher is a surefire game-based elements that work. So fifth is comparing and reflecting on personalized performance. Some video games offers a personalized breakdown of the player's performance all the time of each level. So 6 is using levels, checkpoints, and other method of progression. So teachers can use various checkpoints, level, or other symbol of progression to give learners focus. So number 7 is giving learning badge instead of points. So sometimes something tangible is and symbolic can mean more than giving points. So last is giving students assume specific perspective in learning. These elements of fantasy's role play is a big draw of video game. Benefits of gamification in classroom. There are many people proven that the benefits of gamification is very well in the classroom, such as first, students feel like they have ownership over their learning. Second, a more relaxed atmosphere in regard of failure since the learners can simply try again. Third, more fun in the classroom. Learning becomes visible through progress indicators. Fourth, students may uncover intersect motivation for learning. Fifth, students can explore different identities through different avatar or characters. Sixth, students often are more comfortable in gaming environment, so are more proactive and open to making mistakes. 7. Higher engagement and concentration levels among students. So last, the opportunity to think outcome of the box. Is gamification effective? Gamification have been shown to be tremendously effective, both in educational settings and e-learning settings, and even for corporate companies using it to train employees. Gamification works because it triggers real, powerful human emotions such as happiness and excitement and accomplishment. All around the world, companies, institutions, and household brands are using gamification with marvelous results. So for this slide, we're going to discuss what is competition. So according to Webster 2007, the definition of human competition is a contest which two or more people are engaged, where typically only one or few participants will win and others will not. So competition exists when there is a scarcity of desired outcome. Individuals or group are then positioned for attainment outcome. Example, in team athletes or two teams engaged in a sports for the goal of winning. So according to Johnson & Johnson, the real world is inherently competitive is a myth. Moreover, to say that we are preparing students for the real world is by putting students in artificially constructed competitive situation is to impose on them a specifically biased worldview. It is partly true that the world is competitive. For the most part, competition is a self-imposed or at least a self-selected condition. If we created a more cooperative environment in our school, we created a likelihood or a more cooperative. If we created a more competitive environment, then we created a more competitive future. The effect of situational competition. When we introduce the competitive elements into the situation, it creates a sense of external urgency and drama. Competition brings the variable into equation that the shift of participants' attention to the cause of their performance in a task. For example, in a task, we create a role play. We could make it into a competition, declaring the task activity a race to see who could finish first the given task. Consider how it is competitive element change into participants think. The purpose of the activity moves the learner goals. Engagement making sense of the elements of the process and the attempts of interpret and make a quality effort and efficiency, speed, and the outcome relative to the others. It is according to the following. The process and the reflection of the task become less important than the product. We can see that the change in post occurring no matter what we are regarding or teaching may see either it is encourage or discourage it. So there is also a consequence and a potential benefit of a competition. So first, consequence of competition. First, it promotes a shift from a mean process to end product. Second, bring the external dimension into the equation and weakness the students intersect motivation. 3. Heightens the level of anxiety and threat. 4. Promotes a tendency to make a mental defined by fear of failure and a helpless pattern. So in a group, it shifts the emphasis from quality relationship to effective relationship. It decreases an incentive to think reflectively and divergently. Fourth is accurates the effect of existing social hierarchy and ability level. And last is decrease the sense of bond generally among group and temporarily increased and the bond within the winning group. So the potential benefit of competition is first, increase the level of anxiety and threat from a performance. So the pressure may potentially refine skills given a more demanding performance context. So next is can provide a dimension that potentially group interdependence and or a team skills. So last is potentially increase the level of fun or drama in activity. Let's distinguish a healthy and unhealthy competition. So in healthy competition, the primary goal is fun. The competitive goal is not valuable or real, nor it is characterized that way. The learning and the growth goal is conspicuously characterized as valuable. The competition has a short duration and it is characterized by high energy. There is no long-term effect from the episode. All individuals or groups see reasonable chances of winning. The students are firmly understand those points, including the examples the following. So from healthy, let's move on from unhealthy competition. So first, it feels real. The winner or loser will feel affected. Second, competitive goal reward or valuable or real, and it is characterized that way. The learning task is characterized as a mean to an end. Winners are able to use their victory as a social and educational capital at a later time. Competition is implicitly or explicitly reward and advantage students. Over time, students develop an increasingly competitive mindset, including the examples the following.
So we have here debate. Debate, it refers to a discussion in which two or more people advocate opposing positions on a topic or question in an attempt to make an audience or the other advocates accept their position. Most people are familiar with participating in informal debates, no? As we already know, because it's one of the examples of our activities in school. It persuades friends, particular film, song, book, artist. It is better than other, however, as less often dissolve into circular arguments, personal attacks, tangents, and etc. Formal debates often have rules to ensure that the discussion remains on the original topic. No, we have lots of topic that we can do debate, like should be assignment should be abolished, all drugs should be legalized, or it says animal testing should be banned.
That's it. I hope you learned something and see you in the next discussion.